Okay, welcome to the Red Barn Studios. I'm Jason, proprietor and owner of the Red Barn Studios, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of following your dream and pursuit of happiness and the American dream.
Would you like to take us inside?
Yeah, please come inside. The barn was built in 1937, and originally a dairy barn. So no power tools, no OSHA, no permits. So trying to create an old barn into an event center was like a challenge. It had lots of state requirements and federal requirements, and trying to change occupancy from agricultural to a event center, which came with lots of hoops and obstacles and lots of red tape that you have to kind of navigate through. So, but if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Luckily, I'm handy when it comes time to being able to do most of the work myself. There were a lot of projects I had to hire out because I didn't know much how to do them, or I just would put myself around those people and ask questions. This used to be the horse stables where the horses, I tried to leave as much original stuff, but you have this concept of what you want it to look like, and then there's the concept of what the state tells you it needs to be done. So opened up the middle stall of the doors and kind of put a kitchen in, because when you're dealing with lots of events, they want live food. So kitchen, staff, and workable space, kind of put a bar in for people. Always the challenge of decorating kind of your theme is trying to keep that rustic kind of elegance and classiness of a barn, and still giving the reminders and the stories that when people come here can bring back. I think we've lost our culture out of our agriculture, so it's kind of a cool experience to see people kind of come back and have these experiences. So yeah, trying to tractor seats and milk tubs and old barrels. The property sits on 25 acres, so we have lots of kind of indoor, kind of outdoor, kind of plan A, kind of plan Bs, depending on what people want to do for an event. We added some bathrooms, and again, every project with this came with a tremendous amount of materials, and every project was huge. It wasn't like just working on a small little bathroom. It was like everything was pretty big.
You want to tell people where you're located?
Yeah, I'm located in Chehalis, Washington, which is midway between Portland and Seattle. Most of our events are kind of anywhere kind of around or anywhere in between Portland and Seattle. So
All right.
primarily do weddings and corporate events, birthday parties.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can we look out here?
Yeah, here's the back area. Springtime is coming, so leaves haven't kind of developed yet. So added this space. Used to just walk straight on outside, so we needed more place to kind of keep people dry. So added this about 6 years ago. And we have lots of different outdoor ceremony spots if people choose to get married outside. Again, plan A, plan B for indoor, outdoor weddings. But lots of people bring in games or yard games or bouncy houses or mechanical bowls, slip and slides. It's a little touch of like where nature and places kind of let people experience this agriculturally developed background to give them a sense of openness and protection from the rain and elements. Yeah.
You want to show us upstairs?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
After you. Added the staircase. Originally when I bought the place, it had a ladder system that would come upstairs, and the barn was originally designed for loose hay. So loose hay was the way that hay was harvested back in the 1930s all the way up till 50s, and then balers came along. So hay was stacked from the very top, horse-drawn, and hay forks, and then they would keep salt between layers and just fill it to the top. As the hay bales developed, they did cut holes in the floor where you could drop hay back down through the floors to feed your cows down below. I bought it in, like I said earlier, in 1999, and so it was a barn. There was like owls and barn swallows and cows, and so it was really trying to maintain that, bring it back to like not smelling like a barn or looking like a barn, but adding that, you know.
Now, how long did it take you to get it up and running?
Oh, it took us probably around 5 or 6 years. Had to, start from the foundation on up. So had to follow kind of state and local codes with connecting the foundation and making an earthquake and hurricane and ADA and public water. So, but all of this represents no more than what this barn's about. It's work, so it's at least I get to use power tools, which makes it a huge benefit. 32 feet to the very, very top. So it wasn't designed for people. So we've had to kind of modify putting like whole house fans in to kind of be able to keep, air moving. Added kind of lights, something that would be somewhat easier to light the place to make it easier to read speeches or toast, so on and so forth. My dad was an electrician growing up, so I had enough experience and knowledge to kind of be able to add ambient light and try to keep it cool and classy.
All right. Now, how many weddings do you have here a year?
Fluctuates. The last few years during COVID was a challenge. I said for too many years, weddings and funerals are pretty bulletproof, but I learned quickly that it wasn't deemed essential. So typically we've had years of like 65 weddings all the way down to like 30. So we try to shoot for like right around 35 weddings a year.
And it's just you and your wife doing this?
That's correct. Yeah. So I wish I had more people. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 21-year-old and a 13-year-old. So we're trying to kind of get them kind of ready so they can start kind of taking on more responsibility. So.
All right. Now you've got a stairway over here.
Yeah, egress. They kind of, again, another code thing. It never had a door in the back, so I had to add an egress, worst case scenario, for fire. So we had to do 2 5/8 drywall because we're not sprinklered, but a sprinkler system would have been not only really expensive, but it had to be a dry system because it's not heated year round. So we heat it for events, but I don't heat it all the time. So, yeah.
And how many people can you have up here?
So our occupancy is 250 people. So
Okay.
and that kind of is perfect for like bathroom use and parking and but typically about 150 is about average for weddings. So
Okay. And then you've got the curtains just to
yeah, so the
curtains, hide stuff.
Yeah, it helps conceal a lot of their tables, especially when indoor weddings take place. But once the ceremony takes place, and then there's usually a transformation from ceremony to reception, so you open it back up to kind of give it a different feel, a different vibe. But it helps kind of conceal a lot of their decorations and decor during ceremony. So kind of on both sides. Some people get married up here, some people get married down there, some people just get married outside and then walk straight into reception. So we have to do shear wall. That's one of the requirements for earthquake and hurricanes. So I took off all the siding on the outside, ran it through my planer, put it back on the inside to cover up my drywall and my shear wall. But all built with old growth wood, no knots, and just it's an amazing structure. It had really good bones.
They're right there. Now it's just beautiful.
Yeah, we had an old Catholic pastor down here one time giving the ceremony, and earlier on he kind of expressed his frustrations of why people don't get married in the church anymore, and after the ceremony, it might have been the red wine that loosened him up, but he came to me and he's like, hey, you know what, when I was giving the ceremony, I kind of looked out in the congregation and I realized how similar it looks to our church. And I realized back when we didn't have churches, we probably went to old barns, and that's why that shape kind of still holds true.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great warm space. The acoustics are amazing, so all wood, it's almost like an instrument in itself.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the groom's shed and the bride's shed, don't you?
Yeah, we have a bridal area, changing area, and a groom's area. It kind of keeps them separate from the buildings, and so they're not getting ready in the bathrooms and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Would you like to show us more?
What do you want to see?
We'll walk around the outside.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of went with the edible landscaping, so lots of fruit trees, 37 different varieties of apples, and chickens. You try to make that visual concept when you come here, so kids can kind of reconnect to the food that they eat. So I think there's a lot of connection with our agriculture. I think we've lost our culture out of our agriculture in the last 20 years. The groom's area is over here. This was my old work shed before I had a shop. I worked everything out of here. So pretty simple building, just a place for cooler beer and
It's warm in here.
Yeah, nice and toasty.
This would have been almost like the cold storage.
Yeah, our tack room, But yeah, I actually put this in when I first moved here.
Oh, did
Actually videotaped a wedding. In exchange for videotaping their wedding, they gave me this shed. So, little barter.
Barter, okay.
Front yard, the orchard, kind of another place if people want just formal pictures or place just to put yard games. The whole driveway is kind of surrounded with the apple espaliers. Got pears, Asian pear, plums. Had a good friend that traveled the Oregon Trail collecting old fruits and fruit trees, so I kind of got into trying to find heirloom varieties of fruit trees.
Sort of like Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah. Well, most of my trees haven't been planted by seeds, they were grafted.
Yeah.
Johnny Appleseed was a true believer of starting a tree by seed.
Yeah.
He was a religious guy.
And this is the other side of the barn. Jason,